October 10th, 1911, night. Wuchang, Hubei Province, China. A single gunshot tore through the darkness. That night's uprising would become the spark that ignited the Xinhai Revolution, the revolution that led to the emperor's abdication in February 1912. But why did the soldiers rise up on this particular night? The day before, on October 9th, an accident changed everything. At a secret bomb-making facility run by a revolutionary organization, an accidental explosion went off. Qing authorities searched the scene and found a list of revolutionary members. One by one, their comrades were arrested. There was no time left to wait. Rise up tonight or face execution, every last one of them. That gunshot was a decision born from the depths of despair. By the following morning, the Revolutionary Army had seized Wuchang. In a single night, the provincial capital of Hubei had broken free from Qing rule. The Revolutionary Army declared the establishment of the Hubei military government. Qing authority had collapsed in Wuchang. A revolutionary local government now stood in its place. But at that moment, where was Sun Yat-sen? Sun Yat-sen was abroad. At the time of the Wuchang uprising, he was in the United States, traveling from city to city, raising funds and working diplomatic channels. The father of the revolution was not on the ground when the revolution ignited. History, at times, is laced with bitter irony. Who was Sun Yat-sen? Born in Guangdong Province in 1866, a trained physician. But the path he chose was revolution. What he saw before him was a Qing dynasty rotting from within. The Opium War had begun in 1840. By 1842, the Treaty of Nanking had surrendered Hong Kong Island. In 1895, China was defeated by Japan, a small Asian nation, in the First Sino-Japanese War. The shock that rippled through China was immense. The great powers raced to extract concessions from a weakened China. Leased territories, railway rights, control over customs. After the coup of 1898, the Guangxu emperor, who had dared to pursue reform, was placed under effective house arrest within the palace walls. The rage of the people had reached a breaking point. Sun Yat-sen nurtured a vision built on three pillars: nationalism, democracy, and people's livelihood, a vision that would later be systematized as the three principles of the people. A China reclaimed by the Chinese, a republic built by their own hands. But uprisings against the Qing dynasty failed, again and again. In the final years of the Qing, revolts erupted across the country, and most were crushed. Sun Yat-sen knew the truth. Revolution means falling down, time and again, and rising up every time. Why did the revolution spread with such breathtaking speed? Recent scholarship warns that the revolution's spread cannot be explained by heroes and central politics alone. The new army, merchant associations, telegraph networks, newspapers, young men shaped by modern education. These networks moved in concert, and the fire of revolution leapt across the entire nation. The gunshot in Wuchang was a single spark, but the kindling had already been piled across the country, waiting to ignite. The flames of Wuchang spread across the nation in an instant. On October 22nd, Shanxi Province declared independence. On October 31st, Jiangxi Province followed. By November, Hunan, Yunnan, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang had fallen like dominoes. Within weeks, more than a dozen provinces had declared independence from the Qing. The empire's grip on power was hollowing out at terrifying speed. But why did it spread so fast? One crucial factor lay beneath the surface. The Qing court had dispatched Hubei's elite troops to Sichuan to crush the railway protection movement that opposed the nationalization of the railways. Wuchang had been left dangerously exposed. History moves when chance and preparation collide. The Qing made a desperate gamble. They called back Yuan Shikai. Yuan Shikai, the man who had built the Beiyang Army, China's most powerful modern military force. But 3 years earlier, he had been forced out in a palace power struggle and had retreated to his hometown. The Qing had no one else. But in that moment, what was Yuan Shikai thinking? According to historical records, Yuan Shikai used the Beiyang Army as leverage, alternating between combat and ceasefire, while simultaneously pursuing negotiations over the South-North peace talks. which centered on the issues of abdication and the presidency. He was fighting for the Qing dynasty and preparing to betray it. He could see a future that no one else could see. Not the Qing, not the revolutionaries. A new China ruled by Yuan Shikai. Sun Yat-sen traveled through Europe and America, conducting diplomatic negotiations before returning home. He made his case to Britain, France, and the United States. He pressed them to halt loans to the Qing and sought their understanding for the revolution. On December 25th, Sun Yat-sen arrived in Shanghai. His comrades were waiting at the harbor. The moment Sun Yat-sen stepped ashore, the Revolutionary Army had a leader, in name and in fact. But he had no army. He had no treasury. All he had was his vision and the trust of the people. January 1st, 1912. Nanjing. Sun Yat-sen took his oath. As Provisional President of the Republic of China, I hereby proclaim the establishment of the Chinese Republic. It was the moment a provisional republican government rose to replace an imperial system that had endured for more than 2,000 years. In that moment, what was in Sun Yat-sen's heart? According to historical records, Sun Yat-sen wrote in his diary that day, "I will serve the people with all the fervor my heart holds." But he knew the truth. The Republic of China was still built on sand. In Beijing, the Qing emperor still sat on the throne. Yuan Shikai's Beiyang army was still intact. The nation's finances were in ruins. The revolution was not yet over. The fate of the revolution shifted to the negotiating table. Sun Yat-sen, Yuan Shikai. These two men held China's destiny in their hands. The terms were simple. Yuan Shikai would advise the Qing emperor to abdicate. In exchange, Sun Yat-sen would yield the presidency to Yuan Shikai. For Sun Yat-sen, this was an agonizing choice. But he could see the reality clearly. Without bringing Yuan Shikai into the fold, civil war was inevitable. China would sink back into the chaos of war. The ideal of the revolution must be a peaceful transfer of power. Sun Yat-sen made his decision. He chose China's future over personal power. February 12, 1912. Beijing, the Forbidden City. The abdication edict was read aloud. Seated on the throne was Puyi. He was 6 years old. Did the child emperor understand what those words meant? According to historical records, Puyi later looked back on that day and said, "I was simply crying. I didn't really understand why I had to cry." Empress Dowager Longyu signed the edict. The Qing dynasty hereby transfers power to the Republic. Even as fighting and sacrifice continued across the country, the final curtain of the imperial institution itself was drawn by this single document. And so, 132 years of history came to an end. From 221 BC, when Qin Shi Huang first claimed the title of Emperor, to 132 years. The age in which China had always had an emperor closed its final chapter. The Forbidden City fell silent. No one cried out. 2,132 years of imperial rule ended, in the end, by a single edict. From Qin Shi Huang, counting forward to 132 years. Liu Bang of the Han, Emperor Taizong of the Tang, Kublai Khan of the Yuan, the Yongle Emperor of the Ming, the Kangxi Emperor of the Qing. Countless emperors had sat upon that throne, and the last of that long line was a 6-year-old boy. History, at times, draws its curtain with a cruelty all its own. But with the anchor of the Qing gone, new problems rose to the surface. Mongolia and Tibet both began to assert their independence. The Qing emperor had been the bond that held every people together. The moment that bond was severed, the edges of the empire began to pull away. The origins of border disputes that persist to this day were born in that moment. In February 1912, Sun Yat-sen resigned as provisional president. Yuan Shikai assumed the presidency, and the center of power shifted to Beijing. Yuan Shikai did not keep his promises. He dismissed the parliament. He suppressed the Kuomintang, the party Sun Yat-sen had built. He suspended the constitution. And in late 1915, Yuan Shikai declared himself emperor. He took the title of Hongxian Emperor of the Empire of China. Condemnation poured in from across the nation. province after province raised the banner of resistance against Yuan. The Hongxian imperial regime drew fierce domestic backlash within weeks and was soon forced to abandon the attempt. On June 6, 1916, Yuan Shikai died. What he left behind was a vacuum of power. After Yuan Shikai's death, China fractured. The Anhui and Zili cliques fought over control of the Beijing government. Zhang Zuolin's Fengting clique entrenched itself in the northeast. Sun Yat-sen's forces held their ground in the south. Each warlord carved out an independent kingdom. The peasants suffered. The fighting never stopped. Sun Yat-sen was pushed deeper into the south, forging alliances with warlords, only to be betrayed over and over again. Between the ideals of the revolution and the reality of China, there was a chasm that ran deep. Did the Xinhai Revolution succeed? To this question, Sun Yat-sen is said to have answered in his final years. The revolution is not yet finished. In 1925, Sun Yat-sen died in Beijing. He was 58 years old. He never lived to see his vision, a China made whole through nationalism, democracy, and the people's livelihood, become reality. So what did the Xinhai Revolution leave behind? It ended the imperial system. That is an unshakable historical fact. It brought to an end a system that had endured for 132 years. For that alone, the revolution moved history. But the ideals of the Republic were not realized overnight. The age of the warlords dragged on. Japanese invasion came. Civil war between the nationalists and communists came. It would take decades more before Sun Yat-sen's ideals found any form of realization. Revolution is not completed in a single day. It is the act of planting a seed. No one can know when that seed will finally take root. The Xinhai Revolution became the origin point of China's modern history. Its legacy continues to be debated in mainland China, in Taiwan, and among scholars across the world. And now, I put this question to you. A revolution begins with an ideal. But ideals alone cannot move a nation. Sun Yat-sen ended the imperial system, but he closed his eyes before he could see his own ideals realized. Yuan Shikai seized the power of reality, but in trying to become emperor once more, he lost the hearts of the people. Which would you choose? To hold fast to your ideals and entrust your dreams to the future? Or to seize the power of the present and drive change in your own time? And one more question. A system that endured for 132 years collapsed in a matter of months. Was it because the Qing was weak? Or because the time for change had simply come? In history, which is stronger? The current of the age or the will of the individual? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for staying with me until the very end. Great turning points in history, like the Xinhai Revolution, always carry within them the choices and the struggles of real human beings. On this channel, Turning Point History, we explore wars, revolutions, and the rise and fall of empires through the eyes of those who stood at the center of it all. If you want to live through more moments that changed history, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time,